Hi, Heidi ho, Heidi ho. So, message for today. We're going to go back to discussing parasites. So, parasites, those who live off the sweat equity of others. Men who refuse to work the soil with their own hands, which includes these bodies that we live on. So, there's the microcosm and the macrocosm. And the microcosm that is within us can become parasitic when we allow parasites to enter our body because of what we consume, guarding our 7 gates. So our 2 eyes, 2 ears, our 2 nostrils, and our mouth. 7 gates. Everything that we consume, what we drink, what we eat, what we listen to, what we watch, what we allow to go into our 7 gates. And parasites. So those same parasites exist outside of us. Those are the people that are greedy for gain. They covet what belongs to others. So the 10 utterances, don't covet what belongs to your neighbor. Well, ultimately our imam is our neighbor. But then we have the macrocosm and microcosm. So the men and women that live and travel in these vessels that we live in, those are also our neighbors. But ultimately, everything does belong to Hashem, or Imaba, however you want to view source. And parasites would be the individuals that covet what you have worked for during this life. So when you come into possession of something because you exchange your labor, the parasites want you to register those things in the, what I call British accredited registry, but it could also be viewed as Baal Peor's accredited registry, who even openly has the idols like the bull at the stock market. And then you have the employees of the Title 28 corporations that work for the bankers, the creditors, which would be people like the presidents of that corporation. You've got to remember it's a corporation, who appoint chairmen and women over the Federal Reserve Central Bank. And this is global. It's not just on this portion of land, it's globally. You got those parasites, the puppets, who push the agenda of the creditors. And they want a one world currency, which in a way I'm all for that, as long as everybody is compensated for their sweat equity, their labor, in a just way. So justice. So the laws that are being pushed on the land right now are UCC codes, trust laws. They all have to do with banking and the creditors. So you look at something like a police car, an all caps war name on the side of the police car. That's capitis diminutio maximum. Like I'm looking at one right now of a Title 28 corporation pushing corporate laws, codes. So like you have a code in a organization, any organization may have dress codes and different codes that they want you to follow. But you have a right not to contract with those corporations, just as you have a right not to contract with corporations known as police and sheriffs and state troopers and president and congressmen and women. Those are all part of a corporation that's run and controlled by the creditors. Like I said, prima facie evidence on its face. Who appoints the chair of the Federal Reserve Central Bank? And this happens all around the world. So the bankers are wanting you to use their currency, their debt notes, their fiat system, to live on the land. Well, that's parasitic. And then they want to push laws that benefit them but don't benefit the people. But in reality, it doesn't really benefit them either, because they're the one that pay the ultimate price. So like Hasatan was cursed among all the beasts of the field. Well, that's the bankers and the creditors. So Jamie Dimon and all the rest of the ignorant pricks that like to rob, racketeer, and steal. But they have to have psychopaths, sociopaths, people that suffer from situational narcissism to get away with that crap. Because they're too cowardly to push their own codes, so they need individuals and police cruisers that like to harass other people, who are nothing more than thugs and punks. And that's how I view those individuals, thugs and punks, because I was one of those thugs and a punk. But I was lacking in knowledge and wisdom. So when we're younger in these lives, we lack knowledge and wisdom. And as we grow older, we should gain knowledge and wisdom, become wise. So Hokmah, Bina, and Dat. So some of us grow up and we look at our past, and we don't begrudge those in our past, but we learn from our past. And we leave it in the past, but it's also in our subconscious mind, and we learn from it. Others don't. They'd rather allow the parasites to continue to suck and feed off of them, because when it comes right down to it, they don't care if they lose their life. If they cease to exist, they just get somebody else who's going to be a puppet, who is going to push their agenda and violate others' rights, freedom of travel movement, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. So every man can believe what he wants. There's peace in everything. Every religion has peace and teaches of peace, but it also teaches of war, so that's judgment and mercy. So anyway, that's a message for today. Not only removing parasites from inside our vessels, our temples, but removing parasites from our environment. You don't have to contract with any man, but it also shows who you place your faith in and who you fear. God bless. Much love.